Hi everyone, Ginger Belle here for Country Craft Creations and Ginger Belle Designs. Today I'm going to do a little walkthrough of my patriotic folio using Echo Park's Stars and Stripes Forever, which was my design team package for May. And to create this folio, I have used several things, which I'll go over again when I do the tutorial. For starters, I used white artisan cardstock for my base. I've also used some of the navy artisan. I have used the ruby red and the blue no shed glitter, as well as the new tonic ruby red, geez, I can't talk today, foil paper for my rosettes. And I will have a quick walkthrough of how to make these rosettes if you don't already know how, and what I used as far as dyes and such. And I will go over the cover with you. So this is a 6-inch by 8 1/4 inch folio. Now, after this short walkthrough, I will have a video to show you, well, I will have an extension of this video showing you how to create this. And the first portion of it is a piece that I recorded and slipped in, because after making this, I have made a similar folio in the past, and I made it with less on the inside, and I didn't account for that when I made this one and added more inserts and such. So I made this one originally with a 3/4 inch spine on one side and half on the other, and I decided I would like it better if it was 1 inch on both sides. So the first portion of my tutorial, you will see me create this, which if you can see down in there, this is what you will have as opposed to this. You can see the amount of difference in the room. You could literally put this one inside of this one. So if you're not going to put as much inside, feel free to do it with less spines, but I will do my tutorial using that method. So as you can see, I made the rosettes for the front. The back is just simply the navy artisan, and this is glued underneath. This is the new frayed edge ribbon. This stuff is so fun and so pretty, and I got it in the navy blue. And as you can see, this is very free because it is underneath of here. When you open this up, you get an 8-page waterfall. And so that is room for 16 photos. And the waterfalls are 5 by 4 is how I made mine. And I did these using a tutorial by Michelle Allen, and I will put that below because she has lots of tips and tricks on hers that I don't have in mine. I do show you in my tutorial how I made it, but hers is a little bit different, so I will put that below for you to check out. So here we just have our 8 pages, and it just opens up to the back. You could even put a photo down there if you like. And I'm going to go ahead and tie that shut. And I just used a little bit of red twine that I had in my stash. It's nothing fancy. You could use whatever you like there. In the middle is where most of the action happens in this folio. So, as you can see, I used that ruby red glitter cardstock, no shed glitter. It's beautiful. Absolutely love it. I'm going to set that aside. So this is a pocket. This insert, these accordion inserts, are all 5.5 by 8. So you can get a full 5 by 7 photo on these pages, which is great. So this one just has a skinnier little photo mat that I used one of the stickers there. I used a sticker here. This opens to the left. We have a sticker here. This is just placed down with the removable tape. And I did use the Dress My Craft picture corner punch. Ooh, a bunch of stuff just fell out of it. Couple of the stickers, and then this pulls all the way out. And again, I have this is one of the 3x4 elements, and as well as another photo mat that I put in there. I did a little stamping on there with the little photos. Here I used a sticker 3 smaller photo mats in here, and I used one of the 4x4 elements to, I think they're called 4x4 journaling. I'm not quite sure, but at any rate, I put that in there, and I just have stickers on this side, and it's glued across the bottom. I have a sticker up here, and then open this way, and I will just put this off to the side, and then it opens again on this side the same way. So we have 2 of these accordion folds. I have a photo mat here, another 4x4 element. This one has a pocket stuffed with photo mats and one of the 3x4 journaling cards, some more photo mats, and I fussy cut this little USA in the jar of flowers from one of the elements. And I have in the middle on the back here, this one is actually adhered to the paper, and I used a sticker there. This is for a 5x7 photo, so you can kind of see how that would fit in there, which is great. On this side, I left all those hats blank, put another photo there, and then of course it opens this way, and I left these 2 blank just to give you an idea. These close up like so, this one to this side, this one to this side. And then when I first made this, I had a couple errors, and I had already made one of the stacked waterfalls, and I did not want it to go to waste. So what I decided to do, just to add a little bit more, which is one of the reasons that I upped the sizing on my spines, I made a little bifold that is 4 3/4 by 7 3/4. I made that, and then I cut the waterfall that I already had down, so it's 4.5 by 4, 4.5 by 4s. And it's still an 8-page waterfall, just a little extra element to add some photos. I'm going to tie that shut, but I'm not going to tie a bow because it gets kind of stuck in here if I do. Now, this bow, I will tell you, and I don't think I explained this in the tutorial. When you tie this, make sure that your ribbon is long enough that you can tie it mostly to the right so that it does not get hung up on your flap here. This back flap here, I have a couple of the tags from the cut apart sheet, and I backed those with the navy blue artisan and made a pocket out of one of the 4x4s. If you pull this all out of here, I added paper so that it looked like the flag there. Super cute paper collection. When you open this, you have an area up here for photos, a couple of those little journaling cards, and a photo mat in a little tuck pocket below, which is a little tight, obviously, because my photo mat is not going in and out as easy as I would like it to. Okay, so this is the back flap, and it has our pocket. You will see in the tutorial that this flips over. This can vary in size depending on what you want. I just wanted to make sure that when I put the photo mat in, this red strip or whatever decorative paper I was going to use shows, because this is shorter. I wanted to be able to see that on the side. It's just a little added decorative element. And then we're just going to tie it closed. And up next, I will show you how I make my rosettes, and then we will move on to making the folio. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and the next projects that I make, you will be the first to know. Okay, so as I stated in the walkthrough, I would have preferred to make this with 1 inches for spines on both sides. Just so I had more room for the photos, because once I got everything in there and all the flips and flaps and places for photos, I realized this is not quite thick enough. I made something similar to this previously a couple Christmases ago, and it worked out great, but I didn't put as many interactive elements in it, and I should have adjusted for that. So rather than just have you write everything down, I'm just going to walk through this with you with some simple white paper from my stash. This is not artisan, but I wanted to show you. So to make the base, now this is just the base of the folio, and then going forward with the tutorial, it'll be exactly the same. I will just cut that part out of mine. So you might see a little sketchiness on the video. So first you're going to have, again, a 12 by 8 1/4. And I think I stated in my walkthrough that the book is 6 by 8 1/2. It's actually 6 by 8 1/4. So hopefully that didn't confuse anybody. Put this in your scoreboard, score it 5 1/4 and 6 1/4. And that's going to give us that first inch. Then go over to the side and you'll see you don't quite, if you put this up to your 6, that's not going to give you quite your 6-inch back panel. So then you're going to have a piece that is 9 inches by that 8 1/4. We're going to score that at half, at 1 1/2, and at 6 1/2. Okay. Now I'm going to pull the scoreboard out of the way, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch score tape for this. Mind you, if you prefer to use 1/2 inch score tape, you will need to adjust your score lines and the size of this piece of paper as well. A lot of people like to use 1/2 inch. I like this nice skinny 1/4 inch when I'm attaching papers, and I just want to get it as close to that edge, as you can see here, as possible. It's not overlapping, but it's right up on that edge. And then I am going to bring my scoreboard back in just to get this nice and precise. I'm going to put this, pull off this backing and put this right at the edge on the 6 on my score line, scoreboard. And then I'm going to pull this out with the 1/2 inch that we scored on this side. And we are just simply going to put that right with that glue line. You want it to butt right up against there. And that is going to give us 6 inches from, if you look, we will be at right at 6 inches. 6 to the 12 if you put the original one. And then again, you're just going to fold this one back for your pocket. This one will go forward, making sure that everything lines up before burnishing. And then we fold again and do the same, make sure. Now this paper, I'm noticing, excuse me, actually needs to be folded this way. So we will get this all in my scoreboard, making sure that everything lines up nicely. You just want to make sure that you get a nice crisp folio all the way around. And I will probably use this. This is kind of like a pale blue, but this is what I call poo-poo paper. This is not artisan, which is my go-to. And especially for folios, because it's nice and sturdy if I'm not using chipboard. But I will probably use this for something. It won't go to waste, that's for sure. I don't like to waste paper. All right, so this is what you will have. You will have that back pocket just like in the first. And instead of having so much play like I did in my original, you will have the same height. It's a little trying with this pocket. Let's fold this down this way, and that way you can see better. Now that everything is on here, this will hold up a lot nicer when it's folded. You'll have a lot more room for the inside pieces, and everything will fit the same because your panels are all the same size. The only difference is when you do your matting or decorating of your spines, they're now 1 inch. So they'll be 7/8 by 8 1/8 for your matting for that. Okay, so on to the rest of the tutorial. Let's grab what we need to create these fun rosettes. If you've never made rosettes before, oh my goodness, they're so much fun. So I've already made this one, and we will be using some of the new mirrored ruby red cardstock that's now available at Country Craft Creations, and some of the blue glitter, as well as some of the white artisan. Now I've already done this one So I'm going to show you how to assemble that one, and then I'll show you how I make them. And there are different ways. There's also dies out there that you can use. So for starters, I'm going to grab my little Sizzix Sidekick. And I am going to put this glitter. I am using some Circle Scallop Circles dies. Can't talk today, from my stash. These are some older dies. You can use a circle punch, which I will also be using for the white, or anything you like to make this. You can do them with shapes even when you do your rosettes. A lot of people do shapes. So we're going to need 2 of these. So I'm going to cut 2. Ooh, that one almost didn't cut out all the way. But this also shows you how great this glitter cardstock cuts, die cuts. I want to make sure that I run it through a couple times, just because this is a little bit thicker paper, as well as the mirrored is a little bit thicker. So I like to run mine through just a couple of times. Sorry for the squeak. All right, so we have 2 of those. And then I'm going to take a little bit larger scallop circle, and I am going to do the mirrored cardstock that is the ruby red. Not sure why my Sidekick is so squeaky today. And there is 1. And 1 more. Squeak, squeak. Time to get out the WD-40, I guess. All right. So now I have 2 of those. And then I'm just simply going to use a circle punch. And I'm going to cut out 4 white circles. And I'm using a 1-inch. All right. There is my circles. Next, you're going to need your scoreboard. And a strip of the paper that is 12 inches. Now, these ones were made with 1-inch strips. This strip is 1.5. So hopefully it works. It might be a little short, but we will see. I think I'm actually going to... I was thinking of making it even smaller, but we'll go with this and see what happens. But these are fairly simple. You put your strip on, and I like to use one of these types of bone folders just to make sure that I get a good indent. These have the balls on the end. These are actually, I think, flower shaping tools. But what you're going to do is just score along this at every 1/4 inch. So every 1/4 inch, we're going to make a score line and make a pretty decent dent, because these have to fold. So you want to go all the way down. And I would also suggest holding onto your paper, because as you do this, it's going to try to curl up and get away from you, so to speak. So as you move down with your scoring, also move down with your fingers and just continue. See how it's kind of lifting there? You just want to make sure that everything stays nice and straight in the area that you are scoring. And I'm doing this fairly fast. I'm sure it's quite boring. So it's just, like I said, every 1/4 inch. So you'll do 9, 9 1/4, 9 1/2, 9 3/4, 10, and continue on. Every 1/4 of an inch. Until you get to that last one. All right, so this is what we will have. And now what you're going to do is you're going to pick the side that you want. I want this side showing. And you just need to go and accordion fold these on the score line and do these as precise as you can. One being off can be all the difference in whether or not your rosette is nice and straight. Because they're so cute. I love rosettes. They do make, if you're someone that does not like to do all this folding and scoring, they do make dies that make rosettes. I have purchased a few, and I will say that I have yet to find one that I actually really like. Most of them, you have to make 2 or 3 to get your rosette to the right size, and I just have not been a fan of any of them that I have purchased in the past. And so what you're going to have now, let's make sure this is going to work. It is. Okay. So what you have to do now is we have to, as you can see, the ends are going to be the same. They both go this way. So what you need to do to make sure you don't have a square is you need to cut one of these off. So one end, just cut it right along the score line. And I've never quite understood why that works, but it works. So we'll just go with it. Add some glue to the underside of the other one. And then just pull this around. Line them up really, really well. I say really well, and then mine's nice and crooked. And you want to let those dry. And we'll set that aside for a moment, and I will show you this one. I need to grab my hot glue gun. You will need a hot glue gun. This is the one that I already did. And we are going to glue this one together. Grab my gun here. What you want to do when this is all together and dried, it'll come up like this as a circle. You're just kind of going to push everything towards the middle. And it can give you fits. It does take a little practice to find the right spot. And very carefully add, try not to, it's very hard to show this in camera. I'm trying to figure out how I can do this. What you want to do, I'm actually going to put my glue on here, on my white circle. Nope, not the white circle, the red circle, Jen. Let's put some hot glue here on the red circle. And you want to get enough, but don't get too much at the same time. And then I'm just going to try to hold on to this before my glue dries. And just simply stick that on there like so. And then we're going to flip this over before it gets too bound up again. And this white one, you know, I could use tweezers and then I wouldn't have to worry about burning myself. All right, we're just going to lay that one down on the back. And there, and see, it got a little crooked. I don't like crooked, but because our backside is pretty much glued, you can still kind of move it around like I was able to do there. Just going to add a little more glue in there and put that down just like so. Okay, and that is how you make that. Now I'm going to add some regular glue to another white circle as we're going with this patriotic theme, and I am going to put that in the middle. Grab one of my fun little blue, and I'm going to put that in the middle of that. And that is our rosette. So now let's see if this bigger one's going to work, because I'm just not too sure. It should be dry now. I am going to put my glue on here. Again, I'm just going to push these all together towards the middle. And you will have a problem if you don't push down really well on the one that we cut and glued together. Okay, Once you have your piece on, you should be able to hold that glue down. And oh, I glued my desk. Isn't that lovely? Goodness. All right. Let's do the white on the back. And you do want to put one on the back. It just makes it sit better. It just works all together better. And then we need our white on the front. I cut more circles than I needed, I think. That's all right. And one more little blue one. Right in the middle. Okay. Now we have a big one and two small ones. Kind of looks like a little fireworks display, which is what I was going for. So that works for me. I'm going to put my hot glue gun away. Next, we are going to make a stacked waterfall that will go on the inside. So for that, you're going to need 4 pieces of the white artisan. One that is 5 by 11.5. One that is 5 by 10.5. One at 5 by 9.5. And one at 5 by 8.5. Okay? So each one of these is an inch shorter, but they're all 5. Okay? And each one of these is very simple to score. You're just going to score this, and this is our very own Michelle Allen's method of doing this. And I have recently discovered her video on making these stacked waterfalls, and I will link it below, but you need to check it out because it's a much easier. You can only get a 4-inch tall waterfall, but you can pretty much do any width, I've found. So we're going to score this at 4, turn it around, score it at 4 again. Okay? We're going to do that with every single one of these pieces. Score it at 4, turn it, score it at 4. Same with this one. Score it at 4, turn it, and score it at 4. And the last one, score at 4, turn, and score at 4. Okay? Easy stuff. Now we're going to put these together, and white is really hard to pick up on screen, so I will do my best. So I'm going to put this in my scoreboard with 6 in the middle here, and in order to do that, you need to be trying to line this up perfectly for you. I'm going to make sure that we have 1.5 and 1.5. No, that's not right. Okay, never mind. Just never mind. So we're going to go ahead and the second one, the one that is 10.5 inches, just go ahead and fold that. You don't need to do a super hard burnish right now. We just want to have those lines ready. Make sure everything's lining up. And you're going to put this right at 4.5, and we will be gluing that down. So I'm actually going to turn my scoreboard sideways. This is a little bit easier if you do it sideways. Push this up so it's in camera. So we are going to take this and just glue the section in between our scores. And again, fold it over on one side. And then I want this on the side of my scoreboard. It's still 4.5. And I want to line that up as perfect as I possibly can. All right. And then grab the next one. Go ahead and give that a... We will burnish this a lot better once everything is put together. But you want to do a light burnishing to start, just to make sure everything is lining up before we place it down. Easier said than done sometimes. See, this one was kind of scored off, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to make sure everything lines up. And we're going to put glue on, again, that center section there. And fold. And this time we're going to go over to the 5. Give that a good burnish. And then our last one, we have that 1/2 inch in the middle. All right, so for the inside, we're going to have 6 pages. Well, it's technically 12 because each side makes 1 page, but they're pullouts. So these will attach to the inside portion of our folio. And what you have here is 2 sheets of artisan white, one that was 12 by 8 and one that is 5.5 by 8. Okay, and what you do is you're going to put the paper, the piece that was 12 by 8, in your scoreboard. Score that at 1/2 inch, 6 inches, and 11.5. Now this 11.5 mark you can do very lightly because it's just to show you where to add the 5.5 by 8 inch piece, which is what you will do. There's no scoring on the 5.5 by 8. What you want to do with it, and I've already done this and had to re-record, so unfortunately mine's already together, but what you want to do is take your 5.5 by 8 and put that right up to that score line, not over it, that you made at the end. If you made it, you can mark it with a pencil, you can do whatever you want, and then put glue there and put this on where it's at the 1/2 inch. So you're going to have this little 1/2 inch gap. That's going to give you a 1/2 inch to attach to the folio, and it's going to attach like so on one side, fold down and over, and you're going to do that twice. So 2 pieces of 12 by 8, 2 pieces of 5.5 by 8. Okay, and again, I'll go over it one more time. So score the 12 by 8 at 1/2 inch, 6 inches, and really lightly at 11.5 so that you can see the mark. Okay, as if you're going to answer me. And then glue your 5.5 at 1/2 inch over that 1/2 inch space that you created with that light score line. And then this one will go in the book like so. So these will both lay down and they will stand on top of each other like this in the back of the book. Okay. So I'm also going to miter our 1/2 inch gusset because these are not as long as the folio itself. If they were and it was going edge to edge, I would not miter. But because it is not going top to bottom, I want to make sure that I miter these so that they go on nice. We don't want all that extra showing. So just go ahead and miter those. That's your 1/2 inch flap that goes on the book. And we can do some putting together now. So grab your base and open that all the way up so that you are at this second section. So we have our cover, our 3/4 inch spine, and this 6 inch area here. This is where these are going to go. So you're going to have one on this side and one on this side. Add glue to that 1/2 inch that we just mitered. And then you want to bring this in, and you're going to have, because this is 8 1/4, we're going to have about 1/8 of an inch at the top and the bottom, which is fine. Just get that in there. as close to that score line without going over as you possibly can. And just make sure that your book still opens and closes when you do that, okay? And I am just gonna burnish that down now. And there is our first side. Go ahead and burnish that, and that will open like so, okay? I'll move that out of my way, and I am going to do the second one. Now, I prefer this to not show that paper line on the top one, so I'm going to flip mine around here a little bit. Or can I do that? I don't know, actually. Yes, it just needs to go in this way. All right, flip my other piece over here. I'm going to add glue again to that 1/2 inch. And I'm going to put that. I'm going to open this up so that I don't have to worry about going over my line. I just want to line this up again. You should have about 1/8 at the top and the bottom. And you can line it up with this one as well, and you should. So they line up nicely. Make sure this is still going to fold. And I think we're good. I might have got a little too much at the top on this one. Let's see. Well, they're not sticking, so I guess it's okay. I didn't get enough glue. I hate having too much glue, but then sometimes I don't get enough. So just, again, I'm going to pull this in. Try to leave about 1/8 at the top and 1/8 at the bottom. And you can also lift this just to make sure you're not going to have, you want to pull it away from that score line a little. Probably about 1/16 of an inch, just because when your pages are moving, you don't want them to have a problem turning. And I'm having a problem with it sticking. I don't know what is going on here. All right, let's see here. Is that lining up with the other one? No, I need to go down just a little bit. You want it to line up with the one we just put on as well. So it needs to line up with the score line, and it also needs to line up with your other side. So let's, now that I have this in a good spot, let's add some more glue because it's just not sticking. I'm not quite sure what's going on with my glue today. Not being cooperative. Get that nice and burnished. More glue. And sometimes you just gotta mess with it more, I guess. All right, let's pull this open. Yeah, we've got a big old ripple going on in here. And that can happen. Happens to me a lot. Not quite sure why, but I'm just gonna go up under here with my precision tip and add a little more glue to it. Hopefully that will make it lay down a little better. There we go. There. Done. All right, so now you have your two mechanisms in the middle that fold over each other. And we will put a closure on this. Now, if they're a little off from each other, just kind of move them around. It's not a huge big deal, but we will also be putting a pocket on the front of this one. So essentially you will have this like so. You're going to have your waterfall will attach here, and then this will close up like this. Okay? So on to the next. All right, so now I want to make a fun little pocket that's going to go on the front part of this. And for that, you need a 6.5 by a 3.5. Put that in your scoreboard with the 6.5 at the top Score this at 1/2 inch and at 6. And then we're going to turn and score at 3. Okay. I'm going to miter the corners right at the cross section. You can miter these as well. I do. Not everybody likes the tops of their pockets mitered, but I do. So this is what you will have. You just want to get this all folded, and then you can put a notch in the top. I'm going to use my envelope punch board to make my notch like I normally do. If you don't have that, you can use a circle punch, or if you have an actual notch punch, there is a new one in the store, Country Craft Creations, that you can get. That's made, I do believe, by Dress My Craft. I will actually link it below for you. So if you don't have this, you can use that. So we have a 5.5 inch envelope here. So we need 2 3/4. Actually, it's not an envelope, it's a pocket, and that's where I'm going to punch. So I get that in the center. And that, once we decorate, will go on here, like so. Right in the front to put stuff in. Okay. And then hi everyone. So I'm not quite sure what happened when I was recording, but the last portion of my video was completely blacked out. I don't know. You can hear me, but you can't see me. So I need to redo this part for you and show you this back flap here that you can see. We have a little lift up and we have a tuck pocket down here. I just want to get that done for you. So these papers aren't going to match. This was my secondary. So you'll need one piece that is 5 inches by 8 1/4, and one that is 5 inches by 3 inches. Okay. Now, if you don't want this to be a tuck spot and you want a little bit thicker, you can make this a regular gusseted pocket as well. So start with the 5 inch by 3 inch, and we are just going to round our bottom corner. Now, I don't know if I showed in my video, I rounded all of my outside corners. So let me just walk through that with you too before I finish this up. So your little back pocket, you want to fold that back onto the flap. And then I'm using the 7mm on my We Are Memory Keepers punch. I'm just going to go around, and it will give you a little fits if you're using, when you're doubling over like that. I don't know why it does that. So now that pocket will glue down on the sides as a tuck. And then this is the flap that we're working on. I also rounded my front 2 corners. I did not round the insert in the middle, but you can. So let's grab the piece that is 8 1/4 long, put it in your scoreboard at 8 1/4, and we're going to score that at 1/2. Now I will tell you, with both of these items, I'm going to go ahead and just put some temporary, because I might want to use this folio that I used to show you the larger gussets. I'm going to add some temporary tape so I can fold this back and get it out of my way. Okay, so we're working on the inside, this back flap here. Okay, so now you have your 1/2 inch. We're going to go across there. And you're going to want to round that top corner, just like so. And I rounded my all the way around except for the top left corner. Because it's flat in the book, I wanted to leave that one flat. Now, when you put this on, dry fit this first, because depending on your scoring, as you can see, mine would overlap. So what I'm going to do, I have it at 5, but what I like to do is just grab a cutter. Once I have it all together on the flat side, not the side you just rounded, I'm going to just put this down, and I am going to skim a tiny, Well, we will still have to round that bottom one again. Not quite 4 7/8. You don't want to quite go that far. Just enough. I mean, literally, I skimmed off this teeny, tiny, tiny amount. Okay. And let's see if that's going to fit better. I may still have to cut a little more off. I will re-round this corner every time just to make sure. But the goal here is to get this lined up perfectly so that everything still moves, but that when it's open, this is not hanging over, which it still is. So I'm going to say this probably needs to be 4 7/8. When I did it with 4 7/8 on the one that I finished, it seemed a little bit too much. So let's just skim off a little bit more here. I'm going to go right up to the line just before 5 on my scoreboard. So it's not quite 4 7/8. Actually, that is 4 7/8. So I'm going to go, let's just go to 4 7/8. And you'll see what I mean. And then you can adjust accordingly how you prefer yours. I'm going to go ahead and round that corner again. And then obviously our tuck pocket on the bottom is going to need to be that 4 7/8 as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that as well. So this, bring in my book, boy, you can really tell the difference in the colors here. Like I said, when I made the fix on this to change the spines, this paper it's almost blue, but it's white. It's something cheap that I had in my stash. So now when we put this on, you can see it's going to be a little bit less, but that's fine. So 4 7/8 works. If you want it to go all the way up to that spine, you're going to want to make it a little bit bigger, but not quite 5. So I'm just going to line this up along this edge. And I'm going to pick it up and just make sure, and I'm using removable tape, so it's not going to lay down the greatest. And flip that up, and you will make sure everything lines up. And then for your pocket, you also want to round that bottom corner and place that down once you do your decorating. And then these should line up with about 1/2 inch at the bottom. So you'll see about 1/2 inch of your pocket. So just make sure when you glue this down that everything lines up. So sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened to that video, but let me just do a real quick walkthrough of this again, so you can see what this was. To make this, took scraps of the paper to make this top portion look like a flag, and then the bottom is one of the 4x4s. I cut it down to fit, and that makes another fun little tuck pocket, which is just glued on the 2 sides and across the bottom. And then of course this flips up. I decorated this portion so that a photo could go here, and then the tuck spot pocket is decorated, and I put a few things in there as well. So that is my tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. And again, please subscribe to my channel so that you get notifications when I make new things and post videos of my different design team hauls and tips and tricks. And I hope that you have a wonderful day and that you make this and share it with us in the Scrapbookers group. Bye-bye.